Alonzo Thomas was just like any other ordinary 15-year-old boy. He loved to play football and was the greatest older brother to his younger siblings. However, Alonzo happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and this altered his life forever. After getting into an argument with his mom, Alonzo ran away. A man welcomed him home with open arms, provided him with food and shelter. After the space of 2 days had passed, Alonzo was ready to go home. He thanked the man, but the man wasn't too happy. He replied saying, "You really think all I've given you is free?" He then proceeded to pull out a gun and held it to Alonzo's head. Either he could rob the fast trip gas station and in return get some of the money, or get shot and lay there lifeless on the man's kitchen floor. Alonzo felt trapped and couldn't see any alternative options at that moment. He did what he could to survive. Alonzo went into the fast trip gas station where 3 store clerks were working inside. While attempting the robbery, Alonzo's gun went off. He tried to vacate the premises, but the clerks tackled him and held him at gunpoint until the police rolled up. Alonzo was sentenced 13 years in prison. These were 13 years of pure hell for Alonzo and years he would never be able to get back. As of right now, the rule is that anyone under the age of 18 is considered to be a juvenile, and therefore they will be tried in the juvenile court system. With this being said, almost every single state in the United States allows youth below the age of 18 to be tried as adults. Juveniles should not be tried as adults because their brains are not even close to being fully developed. When making decisions, adults use a completely different part of their brain, the prefrontal cortex. This part of the brain isn't fully developed and won't be until the age of 25. It responds to stress with good judgment and awareness of the consequences choices will bring in the long term. Teens use another part of their brain, the amygdala. It handles situations without processing. It reflects exactly how you're feeling in that moment and doesn't think about consequences. Next, juveniles should not be charged as adults because the potential for them to reform during the rehabilitation process is very likely. It opens up a whole new world and more opportunities are available. By the time Claude Brown was 8, he was committing crimes that landed him in a juvenile home, but didn't deter him. At age 11, a juvenile court sent Brown to the Whitlick School for Boys in upstate New York for 2.5 years. After his stay, Brown worked his way through night school, then went to college. Brown is an accomplished author best known for Man-Child in Promised Land, a biography that sold 4 million copies. Another success story is Derek Thomas. Derek Thomas's legal troubles started around age 13, about the time his father, an Air Force pilot in Vietnam, was declared dead instead of missing in action. At age 14, he was sent to juvenile detention for burglary. They helped Thomas learn to set short and long-term goals and instilled him with ambition to go to college. He finished the program early, finished high school lettering in 4 sports, and won a football scholarship at the University of Alabama. The linebacker was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs and made All-Pro each of his 10 years in the NFL. These are 2 perfect examples of the amazing impact juvenile justice systems have on people's lives. They totally turned their lives around and steered them into a new direction and became very successful. Young people in adult facilities are 36 times more likely to take their own lives than those in juvenile facilities. In prison, individuals are left with no sense of hope. They feel alone and have no sense of joy. Not only do they struggle with battles going on inside of their own heads, they also fear their lives because of their violent inmates. Standing at 5'2" and weighing 125 pounds, Rodney Hewlin entered a Texas state prison at the age of 16 because he had set a neighborhood dumpster on fire, which resulted in less than $500 worth of property damage. Almost immediately after entering prison, Rodney was raped by another prisoner. As he continued to be beaten, raped, and forced to perform oral sex on other prisoners, he repeatedly requested transfer out of the general population. On one occasion, he wrote a prison official, "I'm afraid to go to sleep, to shower, or just about anything else. I'm afraid that when I do any of these things, I might die at any time. Please, sir, help me." After 75 days in prison, Rodney hanged himself in his cell. Juveniles should not be tried as adults because most children in adult systems have been upbringed by horrific environments and may have some sort of underlying mental illness. In an article written by Elizabeth Chuck, she said, "When you're dealing with somebody this young, I think that you have time to work with them and see if you can't address the root cause of what caused the harm and set them on the right path. Rather than just one moment, one mistake, you throw them away." In this case, she was talking about a 12-year-old boy who was charged with capital murder. In 2003, at age 14, in tiny town of Moulton, Alabama, Miller beat his neighbor to death with a baseball bat and then set his trailer on fire. There's another way to tell this same story. By age 14, Miller had attempted suicide 4 times, the first time when he was 6. He had been in and out of foster care because his stepfather beat him and his mother abused him with drugs and alcohol. One of his mother's drug dealers had spent that night smoking pot and playing drinking games with Miller and a friend before the boys robbed and killed him. The way he was raised was not by your normal, typical, everyday family. This was all he ever knew. I'm not saying he should not be punished, but these things need to be taken into account in terms of helping him receive the mental help he needs. After Alonzo Thomas's 13-year sentence was up, he returned home, but the damage that was done to his mental health is something that he will never be able to completely fix. He reports that every day is a struggle for him. He takes medication to combat psychosis, depression, and anxiety. He struggles to adapt and to become an adult. After seeing the effects of Alonzo and how his life is forever altered, juveniles should not be tried as adults. A stand must be made. Youth deserve to be protected. When bad decisions are made, they can't go unpunished. They need to be held accountable. But with this being said, adult systems are too harsh for children.